Hello students, we are continuing to talk about our frog life cycle today. If you forgot, here it is. Today we're going to watch a short brain pop video and then work on a foldable, which you can print out and follow along with me, or you can watch me and make sure you're listening and pay close attention.
Come look, Moby. There's a frog in our class garden. What are frogs? A vertebrate is an animal that has a spine or backbone. Frogs are vertebrates. They're also amphibians, which are animals that have adapted to live on land and water. Amphibians are cold-blooded, which means they use their environment to help them control their body temperatures. They warm up on land and cool down in the water or in mud. Frogs, toads, salamanders, newts, and caecilians are all types of amphibians. Frogs and toads have a lot in common, and they're in the same family. Toads are actually a type of frog. Adult frogs breathe through lungs, just like people. But many frogs can breathe and drink water through their skin. Frogs have strong legs that help them jump and hop. Many species of tree frogs have sticky feet, and they can cling to leaves and branches. Some species have webbed feet, which help them swim. Other species use their webbed feet to glide between trees. Frogs have long, sticky tongues that help them snatch up insects and other prey. Prey is an animal that is eaten by other animals. Where do frogs live? Frogs can only live in fresh water, so you won't find them in the ocean. Many frogs live near rivers, lakes, streams, and ponds. Frogs also live in woodland forests and in jungles and rainforests. Some frogs even live in deserts. The trilling frog lives in the Australian deserts, and it burrows deep underground to stay cool. How do frogs stay safe? A predator is an animal that hunts other animals for food. Frogs have many predators, so they have to stay safe in their habitats. Frogs can croak loudly to communicate with each other and scare off predators. Many frogs use camouflage to hide in their environments to stay safe. Some species, such as this laughing tree frog, can change colors to match their surroundings and hide. Other frogs have bright colors that warn predators to stay away. These poison dart frogs are some of the most poisonous animals on the planet. Many species, such as the tomato frog, can puff up their bodies to look bigger and scare off enemies. How do frogs grow and change? A life cycle shows how a living thing grows and changes. Female frogs lay tiny, soft eggs in the water. Tadpoles hatch from the eggs. They look really different from adult frogs. Tadpoles breathe underwater through gills. As they get older, they grow the back legs and then the front legs. They lose their gills and develop lungs, and then lose their tails. When they become adult frogs, females can lay eggs and the cycle starts again. What is happening to frogs? Today, many frogs are losing their habitats, and many species are becoming endangered or extinct. Chemicals and pollution in the environment are also harming many frogs. When people introduce new animals to a habitat, they can cause problems for frogs. Over the years, people have brought fish, such as trout, to freshwater habitats. The trout eat tadpoles and eggs, and they've caused problems for species like the Sierra Nevada yellow-legged frog. Frogs are an important part of many food chains. When frogs die off, it can cause problems for other living things. So, it's important to care for our environment and protect habitats. It's time to get back to class, Moby.
Okay, today we are going to make another graphic organizer, my favorite. This one is going to be our vocabulary words. So, frog life cycle vocabulary. I have some scissors which I need to cut. I couldn't find any glue, so I have some tape. You can use tape or glue. If you don't have those, that's okay. Just follow along with me. You can find these in the file section, print it out with me, or just write it on a piece of paper if you can. So I'm going to cut these out like this. I will show you. So all I want to do is cut along the lines. See this straight line here? I don't want to cut this because it's important. I'm only cutting the lines like this, the ones that have spaces between them. That's all I'm cutting. I cut all the way up to the straight line, and then I stop. So there we go. And I have one more. Actually, I have a couple more. Hit. See, Miss Derrick-Accéus is very bad at cutting. That's okay. I'm trying my best. Cut this line also, because it has spaces between it. Okay, almost done. I missed this, so I'm cutting it now. Snip. Remember, always be very careful when you're cutting. You don't want to snip a finger or anything like that. Okay, so I have all of my lines cut. Now I'm going to tape them down so I can do what I'm supposed to do. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Tape. You can also glue this. Like I said, glue would be easier, but I don't seem to know where my glue is. But that's okay. Okay, so now I can just lift my flaps and write about my vocabulary words. Okay, my first vocabulary word is egg. Let me think back to what we've learned about our frog life cycle. In the egg stage, what happens in the egg stage? I'm going to write using a marker because I want to, and I think that would be more fun than a pen. Maybe. There we go. Okay, my egg. What happens in the egg stage? Let me lift my flap open. Okay, a frog begins life inside a tiny egg. So there we go, there's my first one. Next I have a tadpole. What happens in the tadpole stage? A tadpole hatches. It lives in water and has gills. That's my tadpole stage. Then my froglet stage. I love that word. I think it's so fun. Froglet. The tadpole gets bigger. It grows 4 legs and loses its tail. Now my final stage, my grown-up frog. The adult hops and has lungs. Our adult frog lives on the land, we know that much. Okay, so now I have my cool little foldable graphic organizer of all my vocabulary words. So maybe when I'm taking my quiz later next week and I forget what a froglet is, I can whip this out and just take a quick look. I know a froglet is a tadpole that gets bigger. It grows 4 legs and loses its tail. If I forget what an egg is, I can find it real quick. So this is a good tool for your quiz next week. Hint, hint. To wrap up what we talked about today, our frog life cycle. We watched a brain pop video with Moby, and we learned that frogs are amphibians. We know what an amphibian is now, and it talked more in depth about our frog life cycle. We also worked on a little foldable thing, and we can refer back to that. It has our vocabulary words in it about our frogs' stages of their life cycle.